Island County, Washington, back in the lead up to the November election, there were Republican election observers who were told that they could not observe ballot counting from in the ballot counting room unless they were wearing masks. And of course, that's just stupid. And so they said, look, we're going to go in there anyway. And if we get kicked out, we get kicked out. Tim Hazelo was one of them, and he did indeed get escorted out by the police.
Hey, how you doing, Mr. Miller?
What's your name?
Tim Hazelo.
Tim Hazelo?
Yeah, okay. Good to meet you.
Good to meet you.
Yeah.
Okay.
We've met before.
So, tell me what's going on here.
I'm just observing my civil rights as the observer.
Okay, but as I know, they made a policy that you wear a mask while you're in
which
here.
the RCW doesn't give them the authority to do so.
That's still a policy that's been set. And they've made that very clear to you.
Are you guys going to cite me for being here?
I'm going to ask you to leave.
I'm going to sit here and watch the balloting.
Okay, then I'm going to
like they're
insist that you
saying.
leave.
I'm going to sit here and watch the balloting.
No, you're not. Okay? You need to leave.
Are you going to write me a citation?
If I need to.
Then
let's go. The charge is disorderly conduct.
Gotcha.
Okay, you have a mandatory court appearance.
Okay.
Do you have any other questions for me? I'm going to
no.
ask you not to return here today.
I won't.
Or you can end up in jail.
Yeah, because what he did there looked so disorderly. So Tim Hazelo was the second Republican ballot observer within the course of a couple days to be removed or let out from that ballot counting center by police. Both of them were cited. Well, Tim was cited on site there with disorderly conduct, which is a misdemeanor. He was still going to fight it, but at the end of the day, a misdemeanor is a misdemeanor and doesn't certainly carry the consequences of a felony. So Tim Hazelo, the other woman who we also had on the show, they were both facing misdemeanor charges, and then they both found out that if they did not plead guilty to that misdemeanor charge, the Island County prosecutor, Greg Banks, would charge them with a felony. A felony for what you just saw there on camera, for refusing to wear a mask and being let out and having a pretty polite conversation with police. A felony, using some obscure RCW about unlawful entry to an election facility, which they weren't in there unlawfully. They literally signed in as ballot observers and were sitting in there for a period of time before police came. So it's all just insane, and we'll catch you up in a moment on some of the background here. But I will say, so Tim Hazelo, and I'm sorry, what is the other woman's name? I was trying to remember what the other, Tracy Abel. They are both going to fight their cases. I mean, felony charges for this is insane. And as you know, the prosecutor for Island County has a pretty long history of hating on Republicans. Again, we'll get to that in a moment. But Tim Hazelo had his first court appearance today on the felony charge. He pleaded not guilty, and he got about 150 of his supporters to join him.
I mean, it's a little ridiculous, but it's the system that we live in, and so we have to go through the process. Unfortunately, as we know, the process can sometimes be the punishment, as we found out with Donald Trump. So we'll just keep on pushing forward. We'll work hard, we'll fight hard, and we definitely won't go down without a fight. We're not gonna bend the knee. So
yeah. Don't bend the knee. I like everybody with their don't tread on me gear. Love it. I'm sure the prosecutor was pretty triggered during that. So a little bit of background, it's going to be important to the update if you haven't heard this story on our show before. So the prosecutor on this case, the elected Island County prosecutor, Greg Banks, personally decided he was going to prosecute this case, which he never does. I mean, we had asked him multiple questions about, is it normal for you to take on cases like this, misdemeanors? Is it normal for you to go to court personally? And he admitted no. But he said this case is basically very important, and it's about, the interference in the administration of a presidential election because the dude wasn't wearing a mask. Okay. But there's a lot of other problems with this prosecution that makes the whole thing seem very corrupt and politically motivated. First is Greg Banks's history. He was in the news during President Trump's first term for going on unhinged rants on social media about Republicans, MAGA, the MAGA movement, and President Donald Trump. He compared MAGA Republicans to the KKK. He called them racist bullies with second-grade intellects. He said that we need to cleanse society of their diseased thinking. He talked about it being, it would be collateral damage. Collateral damage is a bitch, referring to the possibility that anti-maskers would die if they visited Disney World. Like, this is unhinged stuff. And again, he was in the news for it, and he ended up taking down his Facebook page and apologizing for it. But we had asked him a very legitimate question. Given your clear disdain for Republicans like Tim and Tracy, for Trump supporters, for anti-maskers, don't you think you ought to recuse yourself from this one? Like, that seems I've been covering crime for a long time. That seems like a very clear conflict of interest. And we had reached out to Greg Banks for comment, and he said no. He said, I see no reason to recuse myself. My personal opinions about President Trump expressed during his first term as president are irrelevant to this case involving an act allegedly committed by someone other than President Trump. Which, again, it's not whether you can be impartial, it's whether people can perceive you as impartial. And clearly, people can't perceive him as impartial in a case like this one. Not to mention, he's going to extraordinary lengths to try the case himself personally, a case that started as a misdemeanor, as the elected prosecutor for the county, and then threaten the defendants with felonies if they didn't just acquiesce and admit guilt. And now they're facing felony charges. So here's some strange updates on this case for you. It just gets odder and more red flags of political motivation and lawfare. So first we find out, again, this is an Island County case. So we find out, and we were able to confirm it via a document that had been sent to Tim Hazelo's attorney, that all of the Island County Superior Court judges, all of them, have recused themselves from this case. We do not know why. We have reached out to Island County Superior Court to inquire with the judges or the presiding judge. We have also reached out to Prosecutor Greg Banks to ask, why have all the Island County judges recused themselves? Now, maybe they had a conflict of interest. You know, the case involves the auditor's office, which is a county official. Maybe that's a conflict of interest, but interesting that they would see and be able to identify their own conflicts of interest, yet Greg Banks, who has the biggest, clearest conflict of interest of them all, has not saw fit to recuse himself. But it gets even stranger. So they decide they're going to move this case over to Whatcom County Court, because in Island County, none of the judges there will hear it. So they move this whole thing over to Whatcom County Superior Court. And it gets assigned to a judge named Evan Jones in Whatcom County Superior Court. For some reason, still unknown to us, try as we might to find out why, Island County Prosecutor Greg Banks personally disqualified Whatcom County Superior Court Judge Evan Jones from hearing this case with no public explanation. It says, Gregory Banks, the Island County prosecuting attorney, pursuant to state law, hereby disqualifies the Honorable Evan Jones, Judge of the Superior Court of Whatcom County, a visiting judge. Judge Jones may not hear or try this action, and the presiding judge shall forthwith transfer this matter to another department of this court or call in a judge from another court. Now, this could be, I don't know, a reasonable reason, right? I mean, there could be an explanation here. Maybe they're buddies. Maybe they went to law school together or something. Maybe he knows Tim Hazelo. I talked to Tim Hazelo this morning. He doesn't know that judge. Here's the other odd thing. Tim Hazelo and Tim Hazelo's attorney inquired, why was this judge disqualified by the prosecutor from hearing the case? They won't tell them. The order of disqualification that we just showed you doesn't specify. And it does say that the judge can't hear or try the action, and it sounds like the judge can't even appeal this decision. The judge is just kicked off by the shady prosecutor. We've reached out again. We've asked Greg Banks, why did you seek to have this judge disqualified? We've also reached out to the court. Why was this judge disqualified? I would like to know, given some of the real shady, suspicious stuff happening in this case, given the fact that there shouldn't even be a case to begin with, because there never should have been a mask order to begin with, and given the fact that the Island County prosecutor certainly shouldn't be the one trying the case, given his disdain for Republicans, Trump supporters, and anti-maskers, there's already enough going on. Now you have the entire bench for Island County recusing themselves. And when it's sent to a new judge in Whatcom County, the prosecutor says, yeah, that judge is disqualified. This is crazy. Now, maybe there's innocent explanations for all of this, but I will say, again, the beginning of my career, all I covered was crime and justice, in and out of courtrooms every single day. I've never seen anything like this. Never seen anything like this. It's insane to me. And so this stinks to high heaven. We already know it's politically motivated lawfare. And I don't know what kind of public pressure campaign it's going to take for Greg Banks to A, recuse himself, or B, drop the charges entirely. But I will tell you, we have these inquiries out, what's going on with the judges in the Tim Hazelo case, and we hope that we will get some sort of answer. And that the answer isn't, I'm not telling you, because I could see that happening.